Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's special preview episode. We are only a few weeks away from the American Society of Gene and Cell Therapy's 27th annual meeting. Really a must-attend event for anyone working in the cell and gene therapy field. It's being held this year in Baltimore from May 7th through the 11th. I'd like to ask you to hang on till the end of the show to get some important logistics information, including important info on how you can save on your registration rates for the annual meeting, whether you plan to attend in person or virtually. And for those of you who are undecided, I hope today's show will encourage you to go ahead and register to attend this event, which has really some unique and special content this year. So with that, I'm excited to be joined today by a special co-host, the chair of the ASGCT Communications Committee, and my fellow co-chair of the session, who will be moderating the session with me at ASGCT's annual meeting, Catherine Gillespie from Houston Methodist. Welcome, Catherine.
Thanks so much for having me. It's an honor. This is my first podcast, so I'm really happy to be doing it about something that I'm so passionate about.
Yeah, glad to have you on the show. Can you just give the listeners a little introduction into your background?
Sure. Well, I'm the current chair of the Communications Committee at ASGCT, which is a job I came to while I was working at Baylor College of Medicine for the Center for Cell and Gene Therapy. I was their senior scientific editor, helping them with grants and papers. So I got to see a bunch of different applications of cell and gene therapy, both basic and translational, and some clinical across diseases. And now I'm at the Houston Methodist Hospital Foundation, helping scientists with grants for philanthropy.
Thanks, Catherine. And now let's go ahead and turn it over to Dr. Rory Bricker-Anthony to introduce herself.
Of course. So I started out in the sciences in neuroscience and was looking at applications of gene therapy, AAV gene therapy in the eye. After I graduated, I moved more into academic publishing and editing, worked as a scientific editor directly with authors on their manuscripts and grants. And then when I moved to ASGCT, I kind of worked on the other side, or I'm working on the other side of things. So working with the journal, with the editors, to help shape the content of the journals and our submissions.
That's awesome, Rory. I think that's something that's so valuable to our audience, your experience from the other side, the sort of where they're hoping to have their material appear in order to spread the word about the work that they're doing. So as one of the speakers for the impact of generative AI on CGT, I was hoping that you would be able to pick your brain a little bit about what we should be looking to learn from this session about the real world applications of AI to CGT communications.
So we'll be covering, one of our speakers will be covering current tools and applications in cell and gene therapy. It's Priyanka Shah. I believe she'll be focusing more on the general communication of cell and gene therapy research. So not necessarily in the, scientific literature context, more, communicating with various stakeholders. And my focus is going to be on the ethics and the scientific publishing side. So when can you use these tools? How can you use them? And doing your proper disclosures of your use of those tools.
So 2023 was such a breakthrough year for AI, and we're just beginning to see this come into. So I wonder if you could briefly mention maybe one or two of the biggest applications that you've seen, maybe, or that you expect to see or hope to see of AI in the CGT space.
So one of the biggest positives to come out of this, I believe, is kind of the impact on language editing. So that accessibility for authors. So, as you may know, the scientific literature, the primary language is English. But we have authors who are trying to communicate their findings all over the world, and they're not necessarily native English speakers, and they may have difficulty kind of translating their work into a format that a journal or other organization could understand. So this has kind of opened up, a lot of possibilities for non-native English speakers to effectively communicate their findings in cell and gene therapy and kind of level the playing field a little more. So I'm very excited to see how that goes.
I think Catherine and I just had a follow-up. Rory, I think people often mistake AI as like this big black box, but I think what they don't realize is that it's so in use in many things they do day to day, they don't even realize. Since you're the scientific editor of the ASGCT's molecular therapy family of journals, you're very much aware of like PubMed, for example. PubMed already deploys a lot of AI technology. Are we going to hear about some of those like everyday uses available in some of the tools people may not even be familiar with?
Yes, absolutely. You're absolutely correct. I mean, there are AI tools available on the publisher side. There's some new AI tools that are helping facilitate searches, kind of like you mentioned in PubMed, but there are other services available as well that can really help facilitate your literature searches, help you find, accurate information and really kind of synthesize that research.
That's awesome. So much. I know I've used Grammarly, and they have a great AI tool, and I think that as these become better and more widely accepted, it'll be great, especially as you mentioned for our non-native English speaking scientists. As an attendee at the annual meeting, every year is different, and I'm really excited about this year's location in Baltimore. But is there anything that you specifically suggest for new attendees so that they can maximize their first ASGCT annual meeting experience?
Yeah, of course. Of course, with any academic conference, you're going to want to plan ahead as much as possible. Be on the lookout for the abstracts once those are published, so that you can find, the best the best abstracts that you're wanting to go see in terms of like the poster sessions or the oral abstract sessions. So you got to be pretty strategic, because a lot of this stuff is going to be ongoing, concurrent sections. I would also recommend taking advantage of the networking opportunities you have throughout. Going to the welcome reception and closing night reception, because you have access to all sorts of people in the cell and gene therapy space that you can talk to. If you're a scientist, you can find potential collaborators. And then I also wanted to mention on the journal sides, because I would, be remiss if I didn't mention the journals. We're going to have an event at the conference at ASGCT Central. So our big informational booth, where you can meet the editors in chief of our journals and talk to them about perhaps ideas you have for potential research articles, reviews, editorials, and the like.
How cool. That's such a valuable resource for our attendees. Amazing. Yes. Well, awesome. I'm definitely very excited for this trip to Baltimore. Don't love BWI, but love Baltimore this year. So happy to be there, and early May should be lovely. So thanks so much for your time. Chris, do you have any follow-ups?
Yeah, I do. I just want to thank you both. The goal here today was just to give a little preview of what attendees at ASGCT might expect. And for those that haven't registered, give them a little taste of what they can expect to see at the meeting, but especially double clicking into that special symposium with AI and its impact on communications in the cell and gene therapy industry. I haven't seen anything else like it at any other conferences so far. So I think this is a must-see event. And I just want to thank you both for being here to do this preview podcast. And I can't wait to see you both in Baltimore in early May.
Yeah, thanks so much for putting it together, Chris.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you all for listening to our show today. Wanted to leave you all with some important logistics information about the conference and registration. ASGCT members can save $385 on registration rates for the annual meeting. That's whether you're attending in person or virtually, which is a bigger savings than the cost of the membership as a standalone. But for those of you who are not members, you can bundle both the ASGCT membership and annual meeting attendance and really get some big savings to attend this premier event in our cell and gene therapy field. Register today at annualmeeting.asgct.org. I hope to see you all in Baltimore in just a few weeks. Bye-bye.